Okay guys, so we're going to try and solve this quadratic equation today. So let's try factoring first. If we look at this quadratic equation, it is in the correct form. So we do have 0 on one side. We have A, B, and C. Okay. So is there a greatest common factor? No, there's not. So we're going to move on. Okay. And we're going to take our A, multiply it by our C to get -8 and 5. Now what am I going to need here? I'm going to need one of each in order to multiply up to a negative. Okay, I need to have more positives so I can get a positive down here. So if I go through my factors, 8 times 1, more positives. That does not work. 2 and 4, more positives. That does not work. 3 does not go into 8, so I can skip that. 4, I've already done. Once you get past half, you're pretty confident that you are done listing your factors. So when you look at this right here, it's not factorable. So since it's not factorable, we have to use a different method. And that's where the quadratic formula comes in. So our quadratic formula is x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we're going to do what we learned before, where we write out our a, which is 1, our b, which is 5, and our c, which is -8, and then we're going to plug it into our formula. So remember, -b means change the sign of b. So that means if my b is +5, I'm going to change it to -5, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so I'm going to write 5 times 5, minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So I just plugged everything in. The biggest mistake that people make with the quadratic formula is usually messing up their signs. So you need to be very careful when it comes to your signs. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy -5 plus or minus the square root of. Now I'm going to do each piece. This is a piece and this is a piece. So right there, how many negatives do I have? I have only positives, so 5 times 5 is 25. Right here is a major place. People mess up whether they should put positive or plus there or minus there. So when you look at this one, count your negatives. 1, 2. There are 2 negatives. So since there's 2 negatives, this is going to be plus. Now all you have to do is multiply your numbers. So 4 times 1 times 8. So that's going to be 32 all over 2. Okay? Now I can go ahead and add those on the inside, so I'll have -5 plus or minus. Let's see, that'll be 3, so 5 and 7, 57 all over 2. Okay? Once you get to that part right there, this is actually 2 problems, so you can leave it. This is a shorthand way of writing it, but you can leave it like this. You can say -5 plus root 57 over 2 and -5 minus root, oh, that's too small. Let me go back up here. Let's see. So I'll erase this. So I just want you to understand this is really 2 answers. It's -5 plus root 57 over 2 and -5 minus root 57 over 2. That's what the plus or minus means. Because remember, these quadratics always give us 2 answers. So if we wanted a rounded answer, we could stick that into our calculator, okay, to get that rounded answer. So if I were to do that, I could add up the top first, making sure I'm taking my square root there and dividing by 2. So that top number is about 1.27, okay? And then the second one, I have to subtract my square root, which gives me about -6.27. Okay, so that's just me rounding. So what does that mean? That means my parabola is hitting the x-axis at about 1.27 and about -6.27. What else do I know about this graph? I know this graph opens up because that's a positive. I know that my y-intercept is -8. Because remember, your C is always your y-intercept.